Hey everyone, have you ever stood in front of a mirror and asked yourself, why me? Have you ever felt like life keeps hitting you harder than you can stand, like the weight of the world is slowly crushing your chest and no one even notices you gasping for breath? That feeling, that unbearable, raw ache deep inside your soul, it's not weakness, it's not a flaw, it's not something to be ashamed of, that pain, it's the process, it's how strength is born. Not in comfort, not in applause, not in the highlight reels people post for likes and praise, but in the unseen moments, the lonely moments, the I can't take, the send more moments, that's where power begins. Every person you admire, every so-called success story you've watched from the sidelines has walked through fire, they've doubted themselves, they've cried themselves to sleep, they've been told they weren't enough. They've failed, not once, not twice, over and over again, and you know what made the difference? Not talent, not money, not privilege, pain. The kind of pain that doesn't just break you, it rebuilds you. Stronger, sharper, smarter. When life hits you, it doesn't always mean it's trying to destroy you sometimes. It's trying to wake you up. Pain pushes you. It shatters your illusions. It strips away your ego. It introduces you to who you really are when there's no crowd, no camera, no performance. Just you and the storm. And in that storm, in that chaos, in that suffering, something powerful is forming. It's teaching you to stand even when your knees shake, to move even when your feet bleed, to speak even when your voice trembles. Because once you've faced that kind of darkness and survived it, the world no longer has control over you. It's easy to be strong when everything's going your way. It's easy to smile when you're winning, but real strength is built in the silence, when nobody claps for you, when nobody shows up, when you're forced to believe in yourself, even when every voice inside you screams, give up. Pain doesn't just build character, it reveals it. It shows you what you're made of. It strips away all the surface level motivation and reveals the fire that actually fuels you. So the next time you're broken, remember, you are in the middle of becoming. The next time you fail, remind yourself, this is the blueprint for something greater, because pain isn't the end. It's the beginning of a transformation that the world may not understand, but one day it will witness. And when it does, they won't see the wounds, they'll see the warrior, they won't see the struggle, they'll see the strength that was forged in it. Pain builds power not in the obvious ways, but in the quiet fortitude it plants inside you, deep and unshakable. Have you ever been in a room full of people and still felt completely alone? Have you ever had so much to say, but chose to stay silent because you knew no one would really listen? That kind of silence? It's not emptiness, it's not weakness, it's a language of its own. Silence, when worn with dignity, speaks louder than 1,000 words. It's in those quiet moments when your heart is heavy, your soul is tired, and your lips are sealed, that your power begins to rise, not as a roar, but as a whisper that echoes far beyond noise. There's a reason why the loudest people aren't always the strongest. Noise can distract, it can cover fear, it can be a mask, but silence, real silence, is honesty, it's vulnerability, it's truth without the performance. When you choose silence, especially in moments where reacting would be easy, you are choosing control. You're choosing strength because anyone can lash out, anyone can scream, but it takes a different kind of power to stay still in the face of chaos, to observe, to process, to wait. That's where true mastery is born, not in reaction, but in reflection. People underestimate the power of restraint. They think silence is backing down. They see it as losing, but real ones know better. Silence has a weight, a depth. It makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to sit with themselves. It doesn't give them distraction, it gives them truth, and truth, real, unfiltered, unpolished truth, is deafening when it hits. Silence makes people hear what they've been trying to avoid. It makes them feel what they've been running from. Your silence, it's not your weakness, it's your statement. There's power in walking away without explaining yourself. There's strength in not responding to negativity. There's bravery in not defending every false assumption thrown at you. Because you know who you are. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain your value to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Let your silence be your boundary. Let your stillness be your fire. When you don't react, you're not ignoring. You're choosing not to give your energy to things that don't deserve it. And here's what they'll never tell you. When you choose silence over chaos, people remember. They might not say it out loud, they might not show it, but your calm becomes their mirror. It reflects their noise. It makes them question themselves. They can ignore your words, but they can't unfeel your silence. It lingers, it stings, it speaks long after the moment is over, because silence is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of purpose. It's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. It's the quiet resistance that says, I am not what you think. I am far more. I am listening, learning, rising. In a world addicted to noise, your silence becomes your rebellion. Your calm becomes your revolution. Have you ever looked at yourself and felt like you just weren't enough? Not smart enough, not strong enough, not attractive enough, not successful enough? Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you tried, someone else was always doing better, being more, achieving faster? That feeling isn't rare, it's everywhere. It creeps in through comparison, through criticism, through the silent looks and loud expectations. But the truth they never teach you, is that you are already enough just as you are. You don't need to become something else to matter. You don't need to chase perfection to be worthy. You, in your rawest, realist form, carry value that cannot be measured. We live in a world that profits off of insecurity. They sell us dreams by convincing us we're not already living one. They feed us illusions of the perfect life, the perfect body, the perfect timeline. And slowly, without even realizing it, we start believing that we are incomplete. That we must add something to ourselves, more likes, more praise, more validation, to finally be someone. But the moment you pause and realize that worth isn't something you earn from the world, it's something you own from within, you take your power back. Think about it. Who decided what enough even means? Who created that measuring stick you keep holding yourself up to? Half the time, it's not even real. It's built on projections, on insecurity, on fear. And the more you chase it, the more it runs from you. You'll never feel enough if you keep basing your worth on things outside your control. The job title, the relationship, the number in your bank account, those are chapters in your story, not the story itself. Your value doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's opinion. It doesn't vanish when you make a mistake. It doesn't increase when someone claps for you. It just is, always has been. The most dangerous lie you'll ever believe is that you have to become enough. Because that lie keeps you running in circles, chasing something you already are. What if you stopped chasing and started recognizing? What if you stopped proving and started accepting? The shift isn't in changing who you are. It's in seeing who you've always been. It's not arrogance to own your worth. It's survival. It's peace. It's freedom. When you finally step into the truth that you are enough. Not when you lose 10 pounds. Not when you get that degree. Not when they say they love you. But right now, in this moment, you become unshakable. You stop performing and start living. You stop shrinking and start showing up fully. People will still criticize, they'll still compare, let them. That's their lens, not your reflection. The ones who win in this life are not the ones who seek validation from everyone. They're the ones who validate themselves in silence, who walk into rooms not asking, "Do I belong?" but declaring, "I am here and that is enough." Have you ever been told no? So many times that you started to believe it, told you're not ready, not good enough, not what they're looking for. Have you ever had your dreams dismissed with a polite smile, your passion laughed at behind closed doors, your potential overlooked by those too blind to see it? Those moments sting, they leave scars, they make you question everything. Your abilities, your purpose, even your future. But here's what they don't tell you, every no is fuel. Every rejection, every closed door, every silence after you've poured your soul out. It's not the end of your journey. It's the fire that forges your strength. They said no, good. Now you've got something to prove, not to them, to yourself, because the most powerful drive doesn't come from being accepted, it comes from being denied. The hunger, the grit, the resilience you build when you're knocked down and still find the strength to rise again, that is where greatness is born, not in the easy yes, but in the painful no. When the world tells you to sit down and you decide to stand anyway, that's when you begin to rewrite the story they tried to hand you. No doesn't mean you're not capable. It doesn't mean your idea has no value. It doesn't mean you should quit. What it means is that the path ahead is not going to be handed to you, and that's exactly why it's going to be worth it. You see, the most legendary successes were once wrapped in rejection. The artists whose work was refused, the speakers no one listened to, the entrepreneurs no one believed in, they all heard no, and not once, but countless times, and each time, instead of stopping, they turned rejection into energy. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't who gets told yes. It's what they do with the no. Do you fold, do you shrink, or do you use that no like a spark, lighting up a fire so fierce that it becomes impossible to ignore? Rejection hurts, yes, it's personal, it feels like failure, but it's actually redirection, it's refinement, it's a chance to sharpen your focus, tighten your vision, and come back stronger. Every time someone underestimates you, you get to outgrow their limitations. Every time they say no, you're gifted with the chance to build something even better. So go ahead, collect your no's, stack them like bricks, use them to build your foundation, because every no you hear puts you one step closer to the moment when someone will finally say yes, and not out of pity, not as a favor, but because you've become undeniable. That yes will come, but it will mean more because of the rejections that came before it. The no's are not failures, they are footsteps, and every single one is taking you forward. Have you ever found yourself scrolling through someone else's life, comparing their highlight reel to your behind the scenes chaos? Have you ever looked at their success, their beauty, their talent, and wondered why you don't feel like you measure up? That whisper in your mind that says you're behind, you're not doing enough, you're not like them. That voice doesn't come from truth. It comes from comparison, and comparison, if left unchecked, will drain the life out of you. It will steal your joy, blur your vision, and turn your journey into a race you were never meant to run. You weren't made to be a copy. You weren't born to be a reflection of someone else's timeline, someone else's path, someone else's achievements. But comparison will make you forget that. It's sneaky. It shows up when you're tired, when you're vulnerable, when you're searching for meaning. And instead of helping you grow, it makes you feel like you're not enough. Like no matter what you do, someone else is always doing it better, faster, louder. But the truth is that no one has your exact story. No one has your exact battles, your exact heart, your exact purpose. The moment you compare, you invite distraction. You shift your focus from building your own life to watching theirs. You forget the progress you've made, the battles you've already fought, the victories no one clapped for. You start living for validation instead of transformation, and worse, you start adjusting your dreams to match theirs, not because it feels right, but because it looks shiny. But what looks good for them might not feel good for you. What works for them might destroy you, because your journey has a different blueprint. It was never supposed to be the same. When you compare, you rob yourself of clarity. You rob yourself of confidence. You lose your ability to see your own worth because your eyes are too busy watching someone else's wins. But here's the twist. They're probably doing the same, watching you, wondering how you seem so composed. How you've overcome so much, how you're still standing, because what you see in others is just one page of a story you haven't read. You don't know the full picture. You don't know their pain, their pressure, their price. So how can you compare? Focus is power, and comparison weakens it. Your life is not a checklist based on someone else's success. Your timeline is not delayed. It's unique. The truth is, growth doesn't always look like winning. Sometimes it looks like staying silent when you want to scream. Sometimes it looks like showing up when no one notices. Sometimes it's just surviving when everything in you wants to give up. That's strength. That's progress, but you won't see it if you keep comparing. Instead of asking, why am I not like them? Ask, how can I become more of me? Because when you stop measuring your worth through their story, you finally start owning your own. Have you ever felt your voice catch in your throat, like your truth was trying to break free, but something held it back? Have you ever guessed yourself in a room full of louder people, thinking maybe your opinion didn't matter, maybe your truth wasn't important enough to speak out loud? That's not just fear, that's conditioning. You've been taught to stay quiet, to not ruffle feathers, to dim your light so others don't feel uncomfortable. But there's a moment when that silence becomes too heavy to carry. And in that moment, you discover the truth. Your voice is your power. Owning it is not just bravery, it's necessary. The world will try to tame you. They'll tell you to wait your turn, to lower your tone, to speak only when spoken to. But your voice was not made to be silenced. It was made to shake rooms, to challenge the status quo, to say the things others are too afraid to admit. Your voice carries the weight of your experiences, your pain, your strength, your vision, and no one else can speak it for you. Not your parents, not your peers, not the critics, only you. And here's what they don't want you to realize. The moment you begin to speak with truth and conviction, things change. People listen differently. Rooms shift, energy aligns, because truth, real truth, cuts through noise like a blade. It doesn't need to be loud to be heard. It just needs to be real. When you speak from your truth, when your words come from a place deep within you, they have the power to move hearts, challenge minds, and awaken souls. But owning your voice is not about shouting over others. It's about refusing to be erased. It's about saying, I exist, I matter, I will not shrink for your comfort. It's about being honest even when it's unpopular. It's about choosing integrity over approval. Because not everyone will clap for your courage. Some will call it arrogance. Some will try to twist it, diminish it, mock it. But speak anyway, because the moment you stop living for applause is the moment you start speaking with purpose. Every time you silence yourself to keep peace, you create a war inside, and that war builds, it simmers, it grows heavier until you begin to forget what your real voice even sounded like. You forget what you believe, what you stand for. That's what happens when we live to please instead of to express. But the good news, that voice is still there, waiting, ready, unbreakable. To own your voice is to own your life. You don't need to speak like anyone else. You don't need to meet their standards. You just need to speak what is true for you. Whether your voice shakes or roars, whether you're whispering or screaming, your truth deserves space. It deserves air. It deserves to be heard, not because you owe it to the world, but because you owe it to yourself. Because the more you own your voice, the more you own your story. And once you own your story, no one else gets to write your ending for you.